My name is Paige LeBlanc, and I'm here with Missy Rodriguez, and today we are going to be talking about organ and tissue donation and transplantation. So, Missy, can you tell me your connection with organ and tissue donation?
Sure. I had a liver transplant back in 1985. So I was the first 10-year-old to have a successful liver
That's
transplant
incredible.
that I know of, at least.
Yeah. So, what was your life like before you received the transplant?
I was really fortunate. I was never sick. So I know a lot of people most people wait on the list for years. I just woke up one day in liver failure and immediately had a transplant. So my life was very typical, just like anyone else's was. And they say that that's why my recovery went so well, is because I wasn't sick beforehand.
Yeah. What caused it?
They don't know.
They don't know?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, I had no liver left for them to examine
Really?
when I had the surgery. So they
That's
said if it wasn't
crazy.
done within that minute, I wouldn't have survived.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there was nothing for them to examine, no research, nothing.
It all just happened so suddenly.
100%. No history of anything like that in the family. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How has your life changed since you received the transplant?
Well, I would say for about the first 30 years, my life didn't change at all. Zero. When I was younger, when I was, in my preteens and teens, I didn't tell anyone. I would sneak medicine. If I had a sleepover, I would sneak it into my backpack and take the medicine. I did every single thing that I was supposed to do. I did well in school. I worked. I played 3 varsity sports. I went to college. I did everything on the planet that any other person my age would have done.
Yeah.
I never wanted to talk about it. I took my medicine. I was 100% compliant. But other than that, it didn't define my life at all. Zero.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be known for that. I think in the 80s, this is like 100 years before you were born, but people didn't want to be different. Everyone wanted to be the same.
Yeah.
Now I think people embrace their differences and really sort of wear it as a badge. But back then, no way. So, and my parents, I guess, that wasn't their style either.
Yeah.
We just did what we had to do and moved on. So, there was no social worker, there was no therapist, there was nothing. I had my transplant, I got better, I left, and I did everything back to normal. So, it wasn't until 3 years ago that I started embracing my life as a transplant recipient. And basically, I ended up having some emergency surgery. I had my gallbladder removed. And ends up, and this is a little more technical, but they didn't know that I was having gallstones when I went to the emergency room, because now when they do a liver transplant, they remove your gallbladder. But back then, we found out that they didn't. And it was actually a transplanted gallbladder that they removed. So this was all a shock to my family. And when I was recovering, I had a really horrible recovery. Just pain, and I was in the ICU. It led to another surgery. Just a horrendous recovery. But as miserable as I was, all I kept on thinking was, I have to figure out a way to help people that are in worse shape than me.
Yeah.
And so that's when my foundation called Missy's Miracle was born. In the middle of the night in the ICU, and I thought to myself, what is a way that I could help people and actually be successful at doing it? And so that's when I sort of married my professional life with my personal life and said, well, if I could give out college scholarships for anyone that has any kind of relationship with an organ donation, whether it's recipient, whether it's donor family, whether it's family, friends, neighbor, cousin, sibling, parent, how can I help them achieve what they want? Because I have the means to do that. If I fundraise, I can do that.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. And I came here in February. My surgery was in January. I came here in February, and we had our kickoff event in March. And ever since then, I've been giving out scholarships, and my scholarship is in every single high school in the state of New Jersey.
Wow.
And it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's really, really awesome to be able to give some money to people who have been affected by donation in some way, shape, or form. And it's just my way of giving back and saying thank you.
How many participants do you get with that?
Oh, wow. We have, I think maybe we had 37 applicants this year. And we had so many great applicants that I couldn't just choose one, so I actually chose 2.
Yeah.
So now I have to fundraise more for next year. If it was up to me, I'd give to everyone. But fundraising doesn't come naturally to me at all. It's really hard to ask people for money. So everyone has a cause that they're involved with.
Yeah.
So what makes my cause any worth their money? So I work really hard with doing that. All of my events that I do are very family oriented. My kids are always there. Their friends are always there. I do a lot of athletic events. I do a lot of fun, interactive things. So that way people feel like they're not just giving money, but they're participating in a fun event.
Yeah.
That's just the way that I reconcile it in my head.
Yeah.
And always a lot of food.
Of course.
Of course.
So for how long did you keep your story a secret?
30 years.
30 years? You didn't tell anybody?
I mean, very few people.
Yeah.
But I did my best. In my small town, when this happened, everyone knew about it, but I did my best to make everyone forget.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been skydiving. I'm a certified scuba instructor. Like I said, I played 3 varsity sports. I've traveled to Australia. There's nothing that I haven't done. No, I kept it a secret other than very, very few people for 30 years.
Yeah. Have you ever met the donor family or reached out to them in any way?
Back then, that never would have happened.
Yeah.
I used to dream years ago about like going on Oprah and meeting the donor family before anyone had ever done that.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it was just so long ago, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. What were you most grateful for throughout that whole experience when it all went down?
Well, I don't think I knew, really, because I was so young.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't sick beforehand.
Yeah.
So there wasn't time, really, for me to digest that this was happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
I do recall them saying, we'd like to think about a transplant for you. And I remember saying, ew, no, that's disgusting. Ugh. But then they transferred me to the pediatric hospital up in Connecticut, which was one of the few places in the world that did transplants. And that's where I had to go because that's the only time I had. This isn't going to mean anything to you, but it will to you. The wallpaper was all very juvenile, and in the rooms they had VCRs. And I thought, oh my God, there are VCRs in the rooms here. I am going to get better here. I thought that was like, you could get a movie? I thought that was super cool. Because it looked like a kid's hospital. It looked like it was more fun.
Yeah.
So I do remember that. Or at least I think I remember that.
So, how many other events do you participate in? Maybe like with your organization?
Well, I never did anything until 3 years ago.
Okay.
Never.
Really? That's when you started getting into it?
That is, I had to look up. I had to Google some searches of, okay, I've come up with a scholarship idea. How do I make this happen? And that's how I found this. But no, I never would have done a walk or a talk or I never would have talked about it. You know, I guess in retrospect, I'm sure now people that go through this meet with all sorts of therapists, and that would have been healthy for me, I'm sure. I guess we just repressed it, and I was able to live a very fulfilling life, so it never seemed like it was a problem or an issue.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. But now that I've come out, I guess, for lack of a better term, I feel like I could give so much.
Yeah.
And hopefully help so many people just by simple conversation.
Yeah.
And raising awareness and showing you could have this transplant and lead an amazing life and show that to the recipients as well as the donor families. That I'm honoring the families by doing what they would have wanted for their recipients.
Yeah. So how has it impacted your family's life and your children?
That's interesting because I don't know what they knew at all. And when I told them 3 years ago that we're going to start a charity foundation, and I had to tell them that I had a liver transplant. And I don't know if they knew or not, but my oldest son was 10 at the time, and the other was 7, the other was 5. I don't know. I had this plan to have this whole sit down, and they like weren't phased. The first question they had is, do we have to wear fancy clothes because we're going to have a party? That was the kickoff event. We have to wear fancy clothes, and will there be chicken fingers? Like, such boys. Like, they're like, okay, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, they didn't have any reaction, really.
No. And even just when I visited my middle guy at camp this week, he has this really good tennis player in his bunk. And he told his tennis player that I won the gold medal in the Olympics. And I had to clarify that, saying, well, it was the transplant Olympics. It was the transplant games. So it's a little bit different. I didn't beat Serena Williams. But Reese, my middle guy, is like, oh, whatever. And, you know, I'm like, it's a transplant Olympics. He's like, whatever, it's the Olympics. Like, so I don't think my kids think of me as any different than any other mom that goes to Target and goes to ShopRite and drives a lot of carpool.
Yeah.
I think, for all they know, every mom had a liver transplant. I don't think they certainly don't treat me delicately.
Yeah.
They probably think every mom had a liver transplant. They really don't pay any attention to it whatsoever.
Yeah. So aside from your organization and all the other ways you participate, is there any other way that you share your story?
Well, through Missy's Miracle, I've gotten so involved. We have such a plethora of fundraisers, whether it be on a large level, like a big event, or a lacrosse game, or a sports outing, or I'm planning a New Jersey Devils night, where we're going to go to a Devils game, like a big Missy's Miracle Devils game. I go to the transplant games. I talk to people in different high schools. A bunch of different high schools have, and you should certainly think about doing a club at your high school, a Missy's Miracle or a Donate Life club, whatever it is. I have a bunch of clubs at the high schools that are local to me, and I could certainly put you in touch with some of the people that run those. So actually, one of them is one of my very, very, very close family friends. The daughter, she took it over for her older sibling who's in college, and she's your age, and I could certainly connect you guys because she could give you so many ideas. And it's just simple things. I understand that everyone's busy. So even if it's just a bake sale or putting up posters in your high school, it doesn't have to take over your life whatsoever. I speak at my temple. I feel like now, every day I'm doing something related to the foundation.
Yeah.
With promoting it.
Yeah.
Every day there's something. It's definitely a labor of love. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
In addition to my other jobs that I have.
Yeah.
But I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's a way to make a difference. And one of my masters is in counseling psychology. And I just feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So this is my vehicle to do it.
What do you think your life would have been like if you hadn't started getting into all of this?
Exactly the same minus the charity part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My life would be exactly the same. I would still have my 3 kids, I'd still be working, and I'd be volunteering for things, but not for New Jersey Sharing Network.
Yeah. What other organizations do you volunteer for?
I do tons at the school. My kids go to 3 different schools, so you know how that goes. And I do a lot for my temple. I do a lot for my town. Just a variety of other things that keep me super busy. But this is now something, Missy's Miracle is now sort of like my logo. It's sort of what I'm known for now.
So what would you say to someone who is not sure if they want to register as an organ donor?
I would tell them my story. And I'm okay if someone doesn't want to register as an organ donor. They may have their reasons, and I'd love to talk to them about it. Yeah. But as long as they raise awareness is really what I'm looking for, is the awareness. Because someone might have a very deep belief for whatever reason, and that's okay. Everyone in this country is entitled to their beliefs. Yeah. So I'm not looking to change anyone's mind per se, because it has to be something that they feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And for some people, whatever reason, they may not feel comfortable, and that's okay. But raising awareness and educating and getting rid of any fallacies, I think would be my biggest goal.
Yeah.
Thinking that, if you're an organ donor, you can't be buried in a cemetery, you have to be cremated, or it's against a religion, or you can't go to heaven that way if that's what you believe. Like, that, I would try to alleviate some of those misconceptions, but I would never force anyone if they had some kind of belief to change their belief, because they're entitled to that. But I would hope that telling my story and just educating someone, they would be able to educate then someone else. Also, what I've learned by being here is that most people can't become organ donors. And that's why there's such a shortage.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think that, okay, automatically they'll die and someone's going to take their organs. And that's not the case at all. So it's just really education.
Yeah, true. Well, thank you so much, Missy, for coming in today and talking with me and sharing your story. We hope that your story will inspire more people to sign up as an organ donor. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I have so much to say, but I'm so uncomfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
But I would want people to know that you could do anything in the world. Anything is possible. So for the recipients as well as the donor families, I think my biggest job is to honor, I guess, the idea of organ donation and the practice of organ donation. And I hope that I'm doing a good job with that. And just for everyone, you never know what happens in life. And to live every day to its fullest, but also to be responsible and smart with your decisions.
Yeah.
And really, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. And, even though someone may look healthy, you don't know what they're struggling with internally. And it's always important just to, treat everyone in a way that is gentle and understanding and non-judgmental, but supportive.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in.